about its identifier, the name, the address, the economic activities, the ownership, the size, the employment, the trade status, etc. It also contains information about the address, contact person of the enterprises to facilitate data collections and communication with the survey respondents. SBR play an important role in producing statistics. It is the main source for information about the seg unit in the country or the economy. It's used to achieve consistency for statistics by providing common frame and integrate data for data collection and data compilation. It supports data coordinations, consistent checks, etc. across data domains. So it is also essential for establishing efficiency in static survey frames, so you can see the reporting burden as well as data availability from alternate data sources. It helps to make national statistics system more efficient and reduce reporting burden, as well as improve data quality and the coherence. For more information, you can refer to the UNSD's guidelines or SBR, or there are e-learning materials. So broadly, SBR played the following roles in the national statistical system or production of economy and business statistics. The first of all is to provide a most up-to-date information about the economy unit in the country by providing a live register. SBR integrates various data from administrative and survey data sources to maintain the database. It aims to provide most up-to-date information about, for example, the active unit, the activities, the contact information, etc., to facilitate analysis and data collection. Using the snapshot, SBR providing a regular snapshot at a certain reference period, which is critical for producing statistics by reference period. A subset of historical register is used as a common frame to coordinate and produce the common frame for various statistical surveys. Because it has a detailed information about the address and contact information for all registered unit and static unit, SBR also provides information to support operations for survey corporations, in particular about contact information, mailing address, reporting burden, etc., to facilitate communication engagement with the survey respondents. In addition, SBR also used directly as a register-based statistics such as business dynamics, birth, death, growth, etc. It supports data linkages because SBR provides unique identifier for all economy units in the countries, so it facilitates data linkages across domains such as business data with trade data, individual data with business data, etc. Later, I'll provide more information in the subsequent slides. Due to all these other features in the SBR in particular data linkage, it provides infrastructure for the NSO to modernize statistical production and services. In particular, it serves a data warehouse to reduce reporting burden as well as generating the new data insights. So now I share a few potential use cases for the task team to consider. The first main use case is using SBR for design and operate statistical surveys. The first feature is using SBR as a survey frame to identify the economy unit as active as well as within the scope of industry statistics. A frozen sampling frame can be provided by the SBR for the survey team to design the sampling, etc. During the data collection stage, the survey team can use SBR information to optimize the survey design and decide how to manage reporting burdens, and also facilitate the data collection and communications with the survey respondent. During the data compilation stage, SBR data contains various administrative data and the past data to facilitate the data editing and imputation, as well as the data linkages to provide new insights. The second use case is enterprise group profiling. So for a mature SBR, usually it maintains enterprise group profiling due to the importance of and economic contributions for large enterprise group. The enterprise group profiling serves to provide information to delineate the complex structure of the enterprise group, support data collection and responder management by the large case unit, which conducting user engagement in data collection and data reconciliations. For example, Statistics Netherlands has quite well-established practices about enterprise group profiling and LCU in data collection and data reconciliations. More information can be found in the country practices shared at the UNC BTS Global Repository about the SBR. So our task team is also working with the task team on LCU to compile guidance notes on how to leverage enterprise group profiling to support LCU teams' operations and data reconciliations. The third use case is potential to integrate industrial data with other statistics, in particular the trade statistics. So integrating industrial and trade statistics will support data analysis on the interdependency between the production and the trade of the goods. SBR could support the data integration between the two statistical domains by providing data infrastructure to support the microdata linkages across data sources. For example, SBR can serve as a backbone for data integration across survey of manufacturing sectors as well as merchandise trade from the administrative data sources. Mexico has provided a country practice in the global repository about profiling of exporting manufacturers. The data sources used are the manufacturing survey as well as custom data, and integrate with additional information from the SBR to profile enterprise characteristics of exporting manufacturers. The fourth potential use case is integrate gender data with industrial statistics. Integrating gender data with industrial statistics would allow policy analysis to achieve the policy outcome of inclusive and gender equalities. The SBR provides data integration infrastructure for industrial statistics with a data set on gender information. Usually, countries maintain employer-employee linked data files where the individual characteristics, including gender, are provided. The compilers then can use SBR to support microdata linkages between businesses as well as individuals to produce gender disaggregations by industry, including industrial statistics. So Portugal has already shared country experiences about integrate gender data with business data to produce gender disaggregation for business statistics. The similar approach can be adopted for industrial statistics. So the last use case is the potential to integrate the geospatial data with industrial statistics. In the SBR, usually we maintain the location or address of the economy units. Therefore, it supports data integration of geospatial data or address data with industrial statistics. The use case for such data integration is to compile data at subnational level, such as regional level or state level, to support policy analysis to ensure regional equality or equal opportunities across regions. For example, Switzerland has shared experience in producing Swiss foreign trade statistics at the regional level by leveraging on the location information in the SBR. So in the Swiss experience, they tap on the SBI information about the local units in a given enterprises and they use that to derive certain weighting patterns to proportion the trade data to the locations. By deriving this methodology, they are able to compile statistics at cantonal and the regional level. Similar approach can be considered for industrial statistics too. So after sharing these potential use cases, we wish to explore what will be the task team of industry that is interested to explore together with the task team of SBR. And maybe we can discuss what could be the next step. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hui, for this very well-structured and informative presentation. I think we all acknowledge the central role of SBR, and this needs to be reflected in the revised IRIS. And I also thank you for providing this cases, examples, especially 3 and 4 that are related to industrial statistics. So I open the floor for comments or questions to the presentation of Hui or regarding to the role of SBR. Okay, yes, Tali.
Yeah, thank you. It was a very good presentation. SBR is a very important uh, instrument for compiling industrial statistics, and I think it requires much more elaboration. My question is that as of now, there are many countries which have not been able to create an SBR, and one of the reasons for that is that either they have censuses and surveys from which they collect the data, so one time SBR can be prepared from that, but thereafter biggest challenge is how to update it on a monthly, quarterly, or annual basis, and for that sufficient data are not available. So do we have some information on how this SBR can be updated and with what frequency those kind of issues can also be dealt with? And particularly this will be important for industrial statistics recommendations, that how to do it, that part can also be considered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. Quick answer is, in the guidance note of the SBR, we do provide guidance to the countries how to develop the SBR at the different maturity level. So for countries with less maturity level, the main data sources are the survey. So for more mature levels, you have access to the administrative data. Working with administrative data sources will be a good data source to update the SBR. So UNSD do provide guidance as well as technical competency building programs to help countries to progressively develop such competency for updating the SBR. So in terms of frequency, it really depends on the data availabilities. If you have more frequent administrative data to update SBR, of course, it can be more frequently updated. So it really depends on what data infrastructure and the legal framework you have in the country for updating the SBR. Yeah, so the details, we can provide guidance to the SBR team in the country. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments for Hui? No, I don't see any reaction. So we thank you very much for your presentation and participation. And we continue with the next presentation, which is about, it was not done when this item was discussed. It is about the scope of industrial statistics, and it will be made by our colleague. Okay, Mr. Sudipto. So the floor is yours. I hope you can hear us.
Yes, very good morning to all, and welcome to all on the third day of this task team on industrial statistics. So this presentation is specifically on the survey done by India on the registered manufacturing sector. That means you can say about the formal sector, formal manufacturing sector, and what India is following IRIS 2008 with this survey, and some suggestive improvements will be dealt in this presentation. Next. Next, please. Yeah. Next.
Have you,
Sudipta,
yes. Have you shared your presentation? Because in this case, you can go to the next slide.
Okay. Thank you.
Is it shared? Yes.
Yes. The second slide is there. How we adapt ASI, IRIS. First is
sorry, Sudipta, we cannot see the next slide.
But I have.
You have. Okay, so okay, give us a moment to share the presentation from here, and then we can move the slides. Okay. Okay, you can
Yes.
continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, first part is that conceptual and structural alignment. In India, ASI is following the establishment approach. Both frameworks prioritize the establishment as a primary unit of enumeration rather than the enterprise. In India, we are following the establishment approach in sync with the IRIS 2008. In both IRIS 2008 and ASI are fully aligned with SNA 2008, facilitating the integration of the industrial data into the national GDP estimates. We are following these things. And performance indicator, if you can think of, they both employ the similar statistical indicators to measure the industrial performance, including growth rates, share indicators, and ratio indicators. In this respect, I want to inform that every year we are sharing our country data to UNIDO for their international handbooks. And it has been widely accepted by the UNIDO itself. So that kind of indicators we are also generate each and every year in our annual survey. Next. Classification standards. We are using the National Industrial Classification NIC, which is directly derived from the United Nations ISIC Revision 4, recommended by IRIS 2008. Next year onwards, we may shift to ISIC Revision 5. On that basis, in India also, the NIC has been updated to NIC 2025. We are going to use from next year onwards. And the product classification is also in sync with the United Nations CPC version recommended in IRIS 2008. ASI is NPCMS. We are using the National Product Classification for Manufacturing Sector, which is of the 7-digit code. That means 5-digit of CPC plus 2-digit of the Indian requirement. So we are following the activity and product both ways is the IRIS guidelines, as per IRIS guidelines. Next, please. Data items and definitions in this segment, we are taken all those aspects, whatever mentioned in the IRIS. First is the valuation at basic prices, because both systems value output at basic prices, excluding taxes like VAT, GST, but including subsidies to accurately reflect the producer's income. We are also doing these things. Value-added calculations, same methodology. We are following the same methodology for calculating the gross value added, defined as gross output minus intermediate consumption, because we are also following the production approach as mentioned in the SNA, as well as in the IRIS 2008. Capital and assets, we define fixed assets, working capital, and depreciation are consistent, ensuring that investment and capital formation are tracked identically. Similarly, for labor part, labor and compensation, both frameworks include employees and unpaid workers in their workforce metrics and categorize compensation to include wages, bonuses, and social security contributions. So if you compare the India's data with the world, you can get common features as followed in the IRIS. Next, please. Data confidentiality, we are following because this is the industrial service asked for sensitive financial data like profits and debt. The legal and ethical protections are mirrored. IRIS international standards sets for the statistical confidentiality, which are legally codified in India via the Collection of Statistics Act 2008. Both mandate that data must be published in aggregate form. We also follow the aggregate form. That means steel industry in West Bengal, so that no individual factories, private finances can be identified. So we are following the same principle as mentioned in the IRIS 2008. Next. Now, there are some suggestions to better fit the unique structural realities of the Indian economy. First point is the integration of digital and platform-based manufacturing. The issue, what are the issue? Many Indian micro entrepreneurs now use the digital platforms to source orders and sell products via, as for example, ONDC or e-commerce. Now, my suggestion is that to update the framework to explicitly define and categorize platform-enabled manufacturing units. That I think it's the time to address this issue. Refining the outsourcing ownership test. What is the issue? In India's complex supply chains, especially textiles and electronics, ownership of materials is often blurred or shared. That we cannot take care of the global value chains. Now, my suggestion is that we have to move toward a control and risk model rather than just physical ownership. We may thought of, or the task team may deliberate on this issue, that how we can adopt the control and risk mechanism rather than just physical ownership. Next. The climate and green matrix. Next issue is that India is a global hub for research intensive industries and tracking the green GVA. Currently, this is a time of demand that we have to consider the green GVA is becoming vital for policy. My suggestion is that elevate carbon intensity and renewable energy mix from additional items to core data items. Currently, this is the additional items like elevate carbon intensity and renewable energy mix. Now, it's my propositions that task team may consider these proposals from additional items to the core data items. Next issues is a very important part that my last speakers has also pointed out, one kind of frame. That's SBR, these things. So addressing the frame incompleteness and informal overlap. In the Indian context, a significant share of economic activity in India is generated by the unincorporated and informal sectors, along with the enterprises that may be registered on other legal frameworks, such as Companies Act in India. My suggestion is that IRIS may further strengthen its emphasis on an integrated economic statistics framework that combines information from organized establishments with data relating to the broader unincorporated sector. So it is now time to consider these issues that we may further strengthen its emphasis on the integrated economic statistics, not only specifically for the organized part and the unorganized part, both taken together. So that may take care of some of the issues in the Indian economy. Next, please. Harmonization of the HSN and CPC. In the first day, Marky has pointed out a very important part, because most of the countries definitely looked into the traded items because harmonized systems. And in IRIS or SNA, they may emphasize on the CPC because traded items, because all the manufactured items may not be the traded items, but in the traded goods or the traded classifications is most important in Indian domain, Indian economy. So there is definitely a classification gap is there. Now, the issue is that the product may be classified under one code when it is manufactured and a different code when it is exported. So difficult to track the export intensity of the specific industrial sectors, because you can identify the global value chain. It is the most important things that items manufactured from our industrial sectors, how much it is the export intensity, we have to catch it out. Then CPC and HSN is the widely different part, so there is a classification gap. So suggestion is that a one-to-one mapping, if feasible, would allow the government to see exactly what percentage of domestically produced goods are entering into global value chains and international markets, strengthening the analysis of sector-wise export competitiveness, trade integration, value addition, and participation of Indian industries in the global production networks. That is the critical issues, critical and important issues in the Indian economy. And I humble submission to the task team that these issues may be taken into consideration in due course of time. Next. Next is that this is one of the important is the manufacturing services. What is the issue? You know that in IRIS, outsourcing is a major part of the modern industry. CPC is excellent at categorizing industrial services like dyeing of textiles, whereas HS codes are focused on the physical goods. So HS codes, there is a limitations, and definitely CPC is an excellent coverage of the industrial services. So HS codes, so harmonization would allow India to track the value of the services on physical inputs. That is the most important, like that examples of the dyeing of textiles. So dyeing of textiles is a major issue. So harmonization, CPC may capture it, but HS codes are focused on the physical goods. So that is also my submission, that harmonization would allow to address this issue. This is also a critical issue as far as India is concerned. Maybe the most of the countries we cannot comment, but in Indian perspective, I request to task team to consider these issues also. So next important part is the capturing digital integration. Recently, in Indian surveys of the unincorporated sector have begun tracking of the internet usage in manufacturing to measure the digital growth. My suggestion is that IRIS could be updated to include a standard indicators for Industry 4.0 adoption, digital transaction and e-commerce participation as core industrial metrics, because that's the most important things, capturing the digital integration. Currently, everything is in India is going to be the digitally integrated. So that means Industry 4.0 adoptions, indicators for these things, very helpful for us. And harmonizing the reference period, that is also a critical issue. IRIS pushes the calendar year January to December, whereas in India, entire fiscal and tax ecosystem revolves around April to March. So my suggestion is that the framework should provide a formal alignment protocol or conversion coefficients, if available, that allow countries with different fiscal years to report data in a way that is mathematically adjusted for global calendar year comparison. Because in UNIDO, whatever we are providing data of the calendar year transformed, but in India, everything is April to March. That kinds of fiscal is there. So we are facing to integrate our data with the international domain with these things, because we do not have that kind of alignment protocol or the conversion coefficients. So that is also my submission to the task team to consider those issues. Thanks. Next slide. So that's the entire presentation is there. To think of I have been pointed out 7-8 suggestions to the task team, and over to you. That's all. Thank you very much for patience.
Thank you very much, Sudipta, for this very interesting presentation and for submitting concrete suggestions on taking into account all these issues in the revised IRIS. This is important topics: digital platforms and integration, control and risk, enriching data items with climate metrics, and of course harmonization of classifications and framing completeness. So I open the floor for reflections on the presentation and the suggestions of Sudipta in India. I don't see any reaction. So thank you very much, Sudipta, for your presentation. We take good note of all the suggestions and will be further discussed in the task team. Thank you very much. And we continue with the next presentation on item C15 on administrative data, new data sources and data integration. The first presentation will be made by the colleague of the task team, Talib. I give you the floor.
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, the first presentation is, no, Stefan, it is later your presentation. Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
sorry. Just a minute. So, okay.
Yeah, thank you. So this presentation is about administrative data, new data sources, and data integration. And the reason is that this is a very critical area whereby countries are struggling to find ways to improve the data sets, at the same time not having enough resources to do that. So my presentation will cover how should we deal with our data requirements in vis-a-vis the resources available. What are the alternative data sources that we can tap? What specific data sources in India we are considering, key benefits, then challenges and issues being faced, and specific questions for discussion. Next. So, as we know, as of now, in most of the developing countries, the approach is that because administrative data sets are very weak in terms of their statistical use, so a number of countries are basing their data either on censuses or surveys. And that costs a heavy price in terms of resources that are required to generate that information. So, over a period of time, because technology has improved a lot, and now collection of data in administrative sources are strengthened through digitalization of them, and it has become much more easier to use them as compared to what we were doing, say, before 5 years or 10 years. Next. So as you can see, our traditional approach I am as of now I'll be more talking about what specific data sets we use for IIP compilation, and for that what were the resources being used and what are the options available now. So in that context, earlier our survey heavy approach was there, which involved manual data collection from thousands of factories or units. High response burden was there on manufacturing establishments. And in fact, I can tell you that, for example, the same unit might have to provide data for prices, data for production, data for other ancillary information that the specific ministry requires for policy purposes. So that means these factories or establishments are overburdened with providing the response. Again, there are issues with longer time lag before data publication, because earlier data was available in the manual formats, and converting them into usable formats was taking a longer time, and there were issues of longer time lags. Similarly, significant cost for statistical offices to collect this data. So what we are now suggesting is that we want to integrate administrative records such as text data into IIP compilation, which will be a significant shift in how industrial performance is monitored. So in fact, I mean, for India, we are going to do this for the first time. So I'm not sure what are the other country experiences on use of, say, text data for IIP purposes. Statistical offices, as I mentioned, can, if we have this kind of data available, for example, for IIP, then we can certainly move away from survey-heavy manual collection, data collections, and move towards a data-driven automated approach, because text data is live and easily usable. Using existing records already filled, because every industry has to provide this data, tax data. They file the GST, goods and services tax returns, every month. So this data is live and can easily be utilized. Covering a near complete universe of units. So as I mentioned, if you are required to pay tax, you have to register. And that registration itself creates a huge database for us. For example, in India, we have almost about 13 million GST taxpayers who are submitting these returns online every month. Next. So on IIP 2010 guidelines, what specific recommendations are available that I will talk about, and then we will discuss what are the best ways to do it. Next. So as we can see in 2010 guidelines, chapter 4, which is section 4.4, it expressly addresses data sources for IIP compilation. It recognizes that both statistical surveys and administrative sources are valid approaches. Statistical approaches were, of course, at that point of time, primary sources. There is no doubt about it that they still continue to be primary sources. But now, because of availability and usability of the administrative sources, we are suggesting that IIP should be more explicit on what are the important data sources that can be administrative data sources that can be tapped for this purpose, and what is the best way to do this. And thirdly, obviously, there will be various conceptual issues that we'll have to tackle when we use administrative data. So what will be those conceptual issues that we need to elaborate in the guidelines? Missing data replacement. Again, this was a problem in the surveys where many times data is not available. So there will be various imputation techniques in order to ensure that data is complete. So what strategy should be there for missing data? And then quality reviews of the new data sources, whatever additional data sources we have. Next. So as you can see, it is the 2010 recommendations say that countries examine opportunities to utilize administrative sources for the purpose of developing and maintaining a sampling frame, which now we call about the statistical business register, as well as a data source for reducing the response burden. So I will give a specific example of how we plan to use tax records for IIP data. So in India, we have three kinds of taxes as of now. On the production part of one is GST, goods and services tax. Second is your excise duties, which are on specific products. And third is the taxes which are paid by the states, which are applied by the states to collect the taxes. So using all these three tax records, we can create a statistical business register because licensing is involved in that. So each and every unit, if it has to pay tax, it has to file for the registration, and all that data is usable. Next. Next. So yeah, just these are uses of administrative data. So I think all of us know that if this data is available, it will be very timely, because in surveys there is a huge gap from data collection till finalization and dissemination of data. It takes almost a year for the annual surveys. But if you have tax records, you can have every month this data is available to you. Reduced response burden, improved coverage. As I talked about, 13 million records that you can tap, as compared to surveys where you will have few thousand entities you will be covering. Next. Next. So as I mentioned, these are the three something happened. Yeah. So as I mentioned, there are three data sources for us for on tax data: GST, central excise, and state VAT, which we plan to use for IIP purposes. Next. So the issues that we are likely to face, I have tried to elaborate here. So first, I'll tell you that how this data will be useful for IIP. So first thing is that in each of the tax return that these industries file, they use SSN codes. So that is a link for us to compile IIP. So you have product identification available, and for that product, if I map it to industry, I can create the industrial classification for those products, and then I can generate my IIP industry wise. Then second important aspect is that subnational granularity, because these tax filing entities, they are registered up to the state or district level, so I know the location of it, and using that location I can easily create my indices even at the subnational level, for example at the state level or district level. It can be easily done. Mapping, as I already discussed, mapping is required from product code to industry. And the most important part is how to deflate, because this data available from industries is in value terms. It is not physical quantities. So you require deflators to be able to use this data. So each and every product, if you have the deflators, then only you will be able to utilize this data. Next. Next. So I think this I already covered. Next. So challenges, yeah, next. So what are the key challenges which we are likely to face in the use of administrative data, particularly this tax data that we are talking about? First one is that when they file return, it is on the taxable value. Okay, so they provide a taxable value and they file the tax on that taxable value. So can I equate taxable value with the production volume? That is the first conceptual question that we need to answer in order to ensure that this data is usable. Second important aspect is the time of sale versus time of production, because factory may produce an item but it is still lying in their inventory. So unless it goes out, okay, you will pay tax only when it goes out. So there is a lag between production time and the sale time. So what are the ways in which it can be taken care of? That is the second conceptual question that we have to answer. Third is captured transactions versus total output. So tax data primarily tracks supply, that is goods produced within a factory and used internally for further manufacturing are not captured. So whatever comes out of the factory, only that part will be captured here. But in between, for example, there will be a captive plants, for example, for electricity that they might be doing, that kind of information may not be, or intermediate inputs that they produce and consume themselves. So that kind of production will not be captured in the output supply of it. Next. Another important aspect is that the goods and services tax, it is applicable although on most of the commodities, but there are some certain commodities which are excluded. So this is a country specific example, but in your country it might be a little different. So you have to see what are the specific products which are not covered in the tax data and how to incorporate in your IIP. So that is where we have to be, and we have to ensure that your coverage is complete. So in our case in India, crude oil, petrol, diesel, aviation turbine fuel, natural gas, these are not covered under GST. So for that we have a separate tax, central excise tax. Similarly, alcohol for human consumption. Again, this is also excluded from GST in case of India. So all alcoholic beverages for human consumption, there is a separate state value added tax, which is not available at the central level. So each state will have this information, may not be available at the central level. Then the next challenge is the classification and deflation, which I already mentioned, that I have a product code available in terms of HSN in the tax returns. How do I link this product code to industry? That is the first challenge that I have to face. And once that linkage is there, how to deflate that value in a volume measure. So this is another issue that is likely to be faced. That is the core hurdle that we have identified, that tax records data about the final realization of goods, not the physical creation of them. So it is a proxy for production, but not a direct measurement. Next. Next. So these are the core questions that we have to answer when we want to use this data, particularly the tax data. So can tax data be used as a valid proxy for production data required for compilation of IIP. Second is what is the appropriate deflator to be used? What methodological adjustments are needed to address threshold exemptions and undercoverage in tax data? For example, there are establishments that say government says below say this lakh, below say 0.1 million, you don't have to pay tax. So that means all those entities which are below this threshold, they are not captured in the tax data. So their number may also be quite significant. So that will be kind of an informal sector that is not captured here. A part of the informal sector might not be captured here. Then how should products outside the tax purview, for example, petrol, alcohol, should be handled in IIP compilation? So this is specific to India. In your country, it may be a little different. How do you tackle that part? And should the production panel be kept fixed from the beginning or dynamically updated as new units enter and exit? And I think this is another core issue, because when you apply Lespres index, you say that my product basket and my factories, they remain constant throughout the life cycle of the index series. But here, because the tax returns are filed every month, new taxpayers will come in, old taxpayers might go out. So this frame changes almost frequent basis. If not monthly, it might take change quarterly or like that. So that means whether this approach, how will it gel with the existing methodological construct of fixed products and fixed product basket and the fixed factories. So that is a very critical element, and we need to conceptually say that yes, this is doable and how. My argument here is that when we are dealing with the products in the this GST environment or the tax environment, except for the units which are out of purview of the tax, it is a census kind of thing. Okay, so 13 million records, it's a huge number. So that means I am not doing a sample. I am tackling with the entire universe. So if the entire universe is there, I think even if the new entities come in or old entities go out, it is a dynamic situation. So I should be able to use the data as it is. But it is still open to question what approach should be followed. Should we fix those, say, 13 million entities in the base year and keep on tracking them subsequently, or we take the universe as it is, and it is a part of the industrial production that if some units go out, we need not have their production, and the new units which come up, we should take them into the production process. So these are the basic issues that I thought I will bring before you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dalip, for this very interesting presentation. I propose for you to see the questions and note your possible answers. Excuse me. It would be good to proceed to the next presentation and have all the questions at the end. But please note your questions and your answers. I have already mine. Okay. And we can continue with the second presentation on this item by our colleague from Georgia, Gogita. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. So having covered data sources for industrial statistics broadly yesterday, I now turn to a related but distinct challenge using administrative data and new data sources, specifically for the index of industrial production. The IIP is our key short-term economic indicator, tracking industrial output month by month. Its unique data requirements are not addressed in the current IIP 2010 guidance, and that is the gap this presentation aims to fill. So during my presentation, we will move through 7 areas. As you see, the unique data challenges of IIP, administrative sources, new and alternative data sources, integration methods, country experiences, and what IIP 2010 fails to cover. Georgia's own journey, and finally proposed revision directions with questions for the task team. The IIP differs fundamentally from annual statistics. It must be published monthly, often within 45 days, measuring output volumes rather than just values. National Bank, central banks, Ministry of Finances, and markets react to IIP figures in real time, and as an index, it requires long, consistent time series. Any source change must be carefully managed to avoid breaks, Monthly surveys struggle to meet these demands. Respondents' burden is high. Non-response rates are higher than for annual surveys, and late returns undermine the timeliness that makes IIP valuable. IIP 2010 acknowledged these tensions but offered no guidance on administrative data, new sources, or model-based estimations. There are 4 main administrative sources for IIP. As you see, VAT and tax records provide monthly turnover by enterprise and industry with regularly 30-day lag, far faster than surveys. The main caveat is that VAT turnover is not statistical output. Adjustments for inventory changes and timing differences are also essential. Electricity and energy consumption data from utilities offers a direct production volume proxy with no respondent burden. So energy intensity shift over time require periodic recalibration. Production licenses and permits are useful in construction, mining, and pharmaceuticals. Also, finally, customs and trade data provide excellent monthly export volume proxies for trade-intensive industries through domestic sales are not captured. The point is not to list these sources. It is to provide NSOs with a structured framework for evaluating each source against their national IIP requirements. That is what our IIP currently lacks. Beyond administrative data, a new generation of sources is emerging. Scanner data is at medium readiness and already used in several countries. I can say in many countries nowadays for consumer goods output signals. Web scraping and satellite imagery are also developing. Machine learning based nowcasting models which combine high frequency signals like freight, energy, financial settlements are growing in operational use. At the readiness indicators on this slide illustrate these sources are at very different stages of maturity. A key contribution of the IRIIP revision should be a clear maturity assessment and the protocol for moving from experimental use to official statistics production. Successful integration follows four steps. Uh, First, a rigorous source assessment before anything is used. Second, is conceptual alignment, mapping administrative variables to statistical definitions, which is painstaking and often takes several times, even several months. Third, statistical linkage through record matching, calibration, and imputation. And fourth, quality validation through backcasting, break testing, and documentation. The four integration methods are direct replacement via concept align, calibration using administrative totals to adjust survey results, survey estimates, model-based estimation to derive volumes from administrative indicators, and record linkage to enrich survey data at the enterprise level. I can say that in practice, most NSOs combine these approaches by industry. IIP should acknowledge this complexity and provide decision guidance. Current practice varies widely. Let me share Georgia's experience. Georgia joined the IMF Special Data Dissemination Standard in 2004, committing to monthly IIP production within 45 days. That commitment has driven continuous improvement. Our IIP now draws on four sources, a monthly survey of around 2,000 establishments, tax office, revenue service data from for inputting non-respondents and validating aggregates. Also, state energy corporation data as a proxy for energy-intensive manufacturing, and customs export volumes as a leading indicator for some products such as wine, minerals, and pharmaceuticals. Two challenges stand out. VAT data requires substantial manual adjustment to align with the statistical concepts, time consuming and methodologically risky, and we only access aggregate energy data, which is also challenging. Our next step, formalize a data protocol with the revenue service under Georgia's new statistical law, which was adopted in 2023, and pilot and machine learning nowcasting model using bank settlement data. So, as the chart illustrates in current slide, survey-only and integrated approaches have fundamentally different quality profiles. Surveys score well on accuracy and comparability. Integration wins on timeliness, frequently, and cost efficiently. Neither dominates. The IIP revision should provide a framework for making these trade-offs explicitly and consistently, built around five principles: transparency, coherence with annual statistics, a published revision policy distinguished flash from final estimates, formal break management procedures, and minimum quality standards for any source used in official IIP. 6 proposals for C15 IP. One dedicated chapter on administrative data. 2 the tiered source hierarchy surveys as a gold standard. Calibrated administrative data as a primary alternative. Model-based estimates for excuse me, for flash releases with trade-offs made explicit. 3, a methodological annex on nowcasting covering breach models, dynamic factor models, and machine learning approaches. This would be the first such guidance in any international statistical standards. Fourth, quality checklist NSOs must complete before publishing an IIP series that incorporates non-survey sources. 5, a pilot to production protocol for scanner data for satellite imagery, web scraping, and so on and so forth. And 6, graduated capacity development pathway, because IIP must serve all NSOs, not only the most advanced. And this is actually my last slide. C15 IP and C6IR share substantial common ground. Business registers, conceptual concordance tables, quality assessment for administrative data sources, legal prerequisites, and capacity development. It would be both inefficient and potentially inconsistent to develop this independently into separate standards. My recommendations are established to join a drafting subgroup for both, build the shared foundations once, and cross-reference them in both IS and IR IIP. So also, I have 2 questions for the task team, which is shown on this slide. Question 1 is, should IIP endorse full survey replacement with administrative data or only supplementation, and what quality thresholds apply? And second is, when IIP and annual industrial surveys use different sources, different data sources, should IIP require annual reconciliation or no? Thank you very much for your attention. I hope I'm on time.
Yes, thank you very much for this very good presentation. Can you please go back one slide, because to note for all participants to note these questions,
Yeah.
and to be able, I think the next one. Yes, this one. So I invite the participants to see these questions and note their answers, because after the 4 presentations we will make the discussion on this issue. So I propose now to have the break, the coffee break, for 15 minutes, and after the break we will continue with 2 presentations on the same item. Thank you. See you in 15 minutes.